The NFL draft is just hours away, so it's time to get those final predictive mock drafts out. So I'm going to give y'all two in one video because I want to cover all the news, all the rumors, all the buzz, and go over all the possibilities. Special thanks to our friends over at Esker Wallets. Thank you for sponsoring today's video, but let's go ahead. Let's dive into this. Two mocks, one video. Gotta love it. And of course, we got Cam Ward. He's going to be the #1 overall pick. There's no sense in prolonging this sucker. They're going to take a swing on quarterback. Good for Brian Callahan and company. And then with the #2 pick there, and honestly, you could argue the second and the third overall picks, there have been rumors of, maybe some trades could be afoot. At the end of the day, I don't think that happens. I think these teams are just going to stick it and pick it. The Cleveland Browns are going to be taking Travis Hunter, which is awesome. And sounds like Andrew Berry sees him more as a wide receiver. But also you look at your cornerback room, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, they're coming up on contract. So you provide some depth there as well. Abdul Carter is going to be the pick for the New York Giants. You could argue quarterback. Maybe they could get fancy, move back and get a quarterback. I say worry about that later. You grab Abdul Carter. You could either one, just have a very ferocious three-headed pass rush, or you could move on from Kayvon Thibodeau in this draft to move up to go get that quarterback possibility. That's just a possibility there. But this also allows you not to have to slap Kayvon Thibodeau with the 5th-year option or have to pay him either. So it keeps the roster cheaper. The Patriots seemingly are going to be taking Will Campbell. I don't know if there's going to be a trade down here. Doesn't sound like it's going to be. He's the betting favorite at this pick. You just know he's going to be a good player, whether it's guard, whether it's tackle. Sounds like the NFL is just really high on him. You get Drake May gets protection. That's just what it's going to be. And now the draft really starts here. At least that's what I think. Currently, the betting favorite at 5 is Ashton Genty. And we're going to run with him as one pick. It's Liam Cohen. It's his first draft. He's an offensive-minded coach. I think it's going to be an offensive pick. So we'll go with we'll go with Ashton Genty here in one mock. But in the other, Tetairoa McMillan has been the other name thrown out there. Looking at Mason Graham currently is at plus 330. Tetairoa McMillan's at plus 850. I think Mason Graham might see a bit of a slide potentially. And again, with Liam Cohen making this pick, I think they want to move down, but you got to stay ahead of the Dallas Cowboys, who are rumored to do a big trade. Maybe it's to go get Travis Hunter. Who knows? But you want to stay ahead of the Cowboys, who need wide receiver, who need a playmaker in general. So we're just going to stick in and pick it. We're going to take Tetairoa McMillan for the Jaguars. This is where things get interesting. And this kind of throws a wrench into a lot of what I wanted to do in this mock. So Kelvin Banks has become the betting favorite at pick 6. Oh no, now it's Armand Membu. But now Kelvin Banks is at plus 210. So it doesn't sound like Ashton Genty is in play, which he's off the board in this one. So fine. We'll go with Armand Membu here and take him. But it sounds like Kelvin Banks could also be the option here. I told you he was going to go higher than where people projected him. I'm not going to go Ashton Genty. I don't think they're going running back. Currently, he is the 4th favorite. Jalen Walker's at plus 450. And then you have Ashton Genty at plus 500. Mason Graham's at plus 1,000, but I think part of that might be they expect him to be off the board, which he's not in either of these mocks. So I'm actually going to take Kelvin Banks. They're going to get their tackles of the future. Colton Miller, I believe, he wants to get an extension. So there are some things afoot there. There are some things afoot. Before we get back to the video, I want to talk to y'all about Esker. With the NFL draft, we talk about generational prospects. Well, I bring to you a generational wallet. It's a slim, retractable, and traceable wallet. Just with the click of a button, you get access to your cards just like that. Gift card, baby. I'm going to put that sucker back in. But they also provide RFID protection from skimming and data theft. Whether it's the Parliament wallet or the Cardholder Pro, Escrow wallets are slim and they provide room for scanner cards. Bam, tap and you go. And they come in him and her colors, so it makes a fantastic gift. Matter of fact, worried about misplacing or losing your wallet? Fret not, because in the back it has a thin tracer card that you just slide into there. Don't even know that it's there. And using the Chipolo app, you could have your phone ring, cry out for help. No need to look through cushions because it's like, hey, I'm here, I got you. And it's also got a navigation app. I can't show you too much because I don't want y'all to know what street I live on, but you can know exactly what house, what street, what city, what state, and what country that your wallet is currently in. So yeah, it's pretty darn cool. So go ahead, use the link in the description and or the pinned comment to get your wallet today. Don't forget to use promo code BROSHMO when you check out to get an additional 10%. Esker, it is the blue chip prospect of wallets you've been looking for. New York Jets. So this is one of two players, right? At least to me. It could be, again, Aaron Glenn, defensive-minded coach, defensive pick. But the current, and Mason Graham is totally in play for this pick. I think if the board fell this way, it's Mason Graham. The betting favorite is Tyler Warren. We're going to take Tyler Warren in this mock here for the Jets. Right behind him at plus 185, it's Armand Membu. We had Kelvin Banks go to the Raiders. Tackles a premium position. They get pushed up boards. We have 3 tackles officially off the board here in this mock draft going to the Jets. And this is where things get fun. Because report are the Panthers want to move back. I'm not going to have them move back in one of these mocks. I'm just going to have them take Jalen Walker. Though Mason Graham has become the bet-in favorite at plus 180. Jalen Walker is at plus 210. I'm going to go with Jalen Walker in this mock because to me, it just makes sense for them to go edge. They missed out on Mill Williams, so they brought in Bobby Brown. They brought in, Tershawn Thornton. No, that's not it. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? Oh gosh, let's go to our lads. Why am I blanking on the former Chiefs player? Tershawn Wharton. There it is. Golly. So they did apply, they did add to the interior, but I think they're still vulnerable at pass rush. They could use more pass rushers. Jalen Walker, I think, goes higher. I think he's going to go top 10, but let's take him here at 8. We're going to have a trade down here. We're going to try to project some trades. I think the Bears move up with Ashton Genty still on the board. Just kind of makes sense. You don't have to give up one of your second round picks probably to move up to this spot. That's ideal. You get Genty. The Bears land Genty. Bam. And we'll get back to the Panthers in a moment. Let's do the Saints because this one it sounds like it's set in stone. Saints might want to move back a little bit, but right now the bet-in favorite by a lot, though Jackson Dart's starting to get a big push, is Mikael Williams, edge out of Georgia. I think that makes sense with Carl Grandison. He's kind of the golden goose there. You got Chase Young. He's on a 2-year deal. It's probably more of a 1-year deal. Cameron Jordan, he's in the twilight of his career. You get him to mentor somebody. Maybe this ends up being Jackson Dart. I don't think the quarterbacks are going to go this high. I'm not going to buy into that buzz. I bought into it in the 2022 draft. I bought into it in the 2023 draft. I'm just not buying into it this year. I'm going to go with Mikael Williams with both these picks. He is the favorite by a large margin. Then we have, well, with one scenario, we have the Chicago Bears with Ashton Genty off the board. If that's the case, it comes down to 2 players, in my opinion, or maybe a potential trade down. Maybe you get the Colts to move up with for like a Tyler Warren. But that's not going to be the case because, well, the Bears moved up to get Genty. Tyler Warren's off the board in the other mock, so it's just not going to happen. Right now, the betting favorite at pick 10, it's Tyler Warren. I think it's going to be defense. It's going to either be Mason Graham, who is on the board here for the Bears. That's who I'm going to take. But Shamar Stewart's also the other guy being talked about. He's going to go higher than people anticipate. That's my opinion. I just want to put it out there. He is a Texas A&M alum, much like Dennis Allen. He likes these big body defensive ends. That's what Shamar Stewart is, but I just want to bring the name up. I'm going to go Mason Graham because I still think Mason Graham goes in the top 10 regardless. Panthers are here at 10. Mason Graham, he's the favorite at 8 right now. I think he still goes with a small little trade down. So, bam, he's off the board. There we go. We're at pick 11. We're moving. We're talking. We're talking about all of the news, all of it. Tell me all of it. So, it sounds like the Niners are out on offensive line. Sounds like this pick is defensive line. And to experiment with these scenarios in one draft, I'm going to go ahead and take Walter Nolan. He sounds like potentially one of the guys that will go to the Niners. He was a top 30 visit. The other guy is Shamar Stewart. Like I said, he's going to go higher than you anticipate. He's going to go higher. Robert Saleh, he showed back up. He's like, oh my gosh, where is the depth along this defensive line? What happened here? It's only Nick now. So Shamar Stewart, I think he's going to go higher than people think. I know the production's not there, but when it comes to the draft, teams bet on tools. Shamar Stewart's got a lot of them. He's got a lot of them. And now we're here with the Dallas Cowboys. Do they get a substantial trade done? I don't know. I think regardless, you got Tetairoa McMillan on the board in this first draft. We're going to take him here. In the second draft, I still think it's wide receiver. I think this is probably the ceiling of where a guy like Matthew Golden can go. Golden stays in Texas. Cowboys get a wide receiver. Now, fins up, baby. Fins up. Miami Dolphins. We have Kelvin Banks available in one draft. Sounds like that's the player that they want. If he's going to be there, I think they're going to take him. He could play left guard right off the bat. Or if Patrick Paul doesn't look good, he can move to left. If Austin Jackson doesn't look good, he could move to right. That's just sounds like they want to get protection for Tua. However, in this scenario, Kelvin Banks went at 6. Armand Membu went at 7. What do the Dolphins do? Jahdae Barron. He was rumored as a potential pick at pick 7 for Aaron Glenn, a defensive back, former defensive back coach, a former defensive back himself. Maybe there is some buzz that Jahdae Barron goes high. I just don't think it's top 10, but I think we could talk about him here for the Dolphins, who Anthony Weaver, coming from Baltimore, loves versatile defensive backs. Barron could play inside. He could play out. The Dolphins need some help in the secondary. So to me, this makes a lot of sense. You could also argue Malachi Starks. You like the NFL draft. Matter of fact, you love the NFL draft, which means you're going to love my draft guide. If you want to know every player your team drafts or even signs as an undrafted free agent, then this is for you. My draft guide updates every day, and you'll be able to see those updates in real time as I add new evals and player backgrounds. It'll have analytics from this year and last year. It'll have the pro day and combine numbers. It'll even have my notes from the Senior and Shrine Bowl. It's a one-time purchase of $30 via PayPal, Venmo, or the Cash App. You can check out the pinned comment or the description if you want to follow those links. And when you do purchase it, please be sure to include your email because it is a Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to require your email. Don't make me hunt it down because I will hunt you down. I will find you and I'll make sure you get your money's worth. Anywho, thanks for supporting the channel. This could be the spot you start to think about him. Indianapolis Colts. We have Tyler Warren available in one draft. He's not available in the other. Right now, the betting favorite for the Indianapolis Colts, it's tight end by a large margin. It's tight end at minus 140. The next one is offensive line at plus 300. So in the mock with Tyler Warren off the board, which, I mean, you could make a case that Colson Loveland goes ahead of Tyler Warren too, just because he might have a bigger upside as a pass catcher. But we're going to go with Colson Loveland to the Colts in the draft without Tyler Warren. We're going to go Tyler Warren in the draft with Tyler Warren. And then things get a little interesting here with the Atlanta Falcons. Don't have a lot of picks. We could see a move down in this first draft. We're going to have them move down to get more picks. The Broncos, the Texans are teams rumored to want to move up. Texans specifically for an offensive lineman. Broncos probably for a playmaker. I'm going to go Broncos in this scenario. We're going to give them, it's going to be a first round swap and then pick 85. So the Falcons pick up a third rounder. So we're going to go ahead and send that trade through. And report was Marion Hampton. Maybe the league sees it as a Bijan Robinson, Jamar Gibbs type of situation where you have these run backs go higher than you thought. With Bijan, it was pick 8, and I think Gibbs was pick 12. In this scenario, it's Genty at pick 5 and Hampton at pick 15. But with the pick that we're sticking with, it sounds like the Falcons might be okay. I mean, Jalen Walker's still here, and you got to think maybe he's the case. And we're talking now about the floor, and I'm talking a hard floor, concrete floor. I think he goes top 10. But if it shakes out this way, he would be in consideration here for the Falcons. You keep him in Georgia. However, I think maybe they take a shot on one of these problemed pass rushers, whether it be James Pierce. James Pierce, you could start mocking him here. He could even go early second round. That's where teams are with the character concerns. Mike Green, it doesn't sound like a lot of teams are concerned about his character. So I'm going to go with Mike Green to the Atlanta Falcons. And then we have the Arizona Cardinals. And currently the Cardinals bet-in favorite with them is defensive line plus 140 and then offensive line at plus 230. And then corners at plus 600. And Will Johnson's got to be consideration. He was a top 30 visit. I do think he slips. We're going to experiment in our second draft with what happens if he falls. I think this could be a beginning to where the floor is. So we're going to go with Will Johnson as that outside receiver for the Cardinals. And then in this one, you freaking had Jalen Walker fall. I don't see him falling further. Jahad Campbell's in play here, but this sounds like there's some real concerns with the shoulder. So we're going to also look at what happens if he falls. We're going to try to take into account some of these medical concerns. We're going to go with Jalen Walker. This feels like a very strong floor of where he can go. And then we're here with the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's defensive line one way or another. I think it's the bet in favor by like a country mile. As defensive line is at minus 270. Corner then comes in at second at plus 430. This is defensive line. Question is, who? Well, in this first one, we're going to go Walter Nolan. He was a top 30 visit. In the second mock, we are actually going to go with Shamar Stewart. He's still on the board. I think this might be the floor. He's going higher than you think, guys. Currently, I think his over and under is at 16.5. So you either think he goes before this pick for the Bengals, or he goes very soon after, maybe with this pick to the Bengals. So I can see a world where he goes to the Cardinals or he goes to the Bengals. We're going to have him going to the Bengals here. Seattle Seahawks. This is strongly reported to be an offensive lineman. Currently, offensive line is at minus 120. Second is wide receiver at plus 390. Tight end at plus 550. The tight ends are off the board. Well, I mean, Colson Loveland's still available, so maybe that's a consideration. Wide receiver, I just don't see it being that. Maybe Matthew Golden you can make a plea for, but I think they're going to do the right thing. This would be the pick if I were making it. It's Gray Zabel. He fits that Clint Kubiak wide zone blocking scheme to a T. So I think the Seahawks are going to do the right thing. This is another one where I'm doing it in both mocks. I'm very confident about it. Reports are Zabel is going to go a lot closer to offensive tackle 1 than he is to Tyler Booker. I think Booker, there's a chance maybe he slips in mocks. So we're going to go ahead and snag Gray Zabel here. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Golly, things are just getting interesting with these mocks. So one, Jahad Campbell's on the board. Let's say everything checks out with the shoulder. He goes here. Maybe things don't check out. Maybe he continues to slide, which opens up who's the pick here. We've seen a run on edge players in this second mock draft. Donovan Ezaraku feels like the pick, right? This might be the ceiling of where he could go. He could go higher than this too. He could maybe go to the Falcons. James Pierce is still here, but I'm going to buy into the character concerns, push him down the board. I'm going to go with Donovan Ezaraku for the Buccaneers. And then we move on to pick 20. The Atlanta Falcons, they moved down. They acquired more picks. Mike Green staring them right in the face. You could also make the case that this is James Pierce. Let's just say it's going to be one of these troubled pass rushers with these character red flags. I'm sticking with Mike Green. I think more teams are okay with him than they are with James Pierce. To me, he's higher on my board as well. Broncos, pick 20. We already did Amarian Hampton. Amarian Hampton is still available in this second mock draft. He is. But let's say they go with a pass catcher. You can make the case for Colson Loveland. I believe tight end is the third bet-in favorite. But Emeka Egbuka feels like a Sean Payton wide receiver. So let's have him go here. Sneak into the first round. There we go. There we go. We're experimenting. I like this. I like this quite a bit. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. In this first mock, Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. He's on the board in both mock drafts, I believe. Aaron Rodgers has yet to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have gotten no news that he has signed yet, so he is currently the betting favorite is the Steelers for Shedeur. We're going to go with them here in the second mock. The Steelers don't have a second round pick. They're not going to get one by moving down, but maybe they could acquire more day 2 draft capital. I'm going to have a team, the Los Angeles Rams, move up. They could give away either pick 90 or pick 101. Both are third round picks. You get to keep one of those other picks. And you're the Rams. You have a Super Bowl window. You want immediate impact players. I think Colson Loveland's a guy that would be an immediate impact. It helps Matthew Stafford. Makes sense to me. Loveland is expected to go in the top 20. He's here at 21. He could have gone to 20. I had to get him off the board. I'm sure the Chargers would love him here. I believe the Chargers have tight end as a bet-in favorite. Yep. Currently, the bet-in favorites for position to go, it is defensive line at plus 125. Tight end at plus 430, and then you got wide receiver at plus 490. So Loveland is off the board in both these scenarios. In our first mock, we're gonna go with maybe they go wide receiver because you have Matthew Golden still available. So I'm gonna snag him here. In this second mock, it's Kenneth Grant. It's someone that Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter are familiar with. Kenneth Grant makes all the sense in the world. He could go higher than this. He certainly can go higher than this, which puts me in such a big conundrum with the Packers because the picks that I think that are going to be like the pick that I think the Packers want are either Matthew Golden, top 30 visit, Shamar Stewart, top 30 visit, and he's that relative athletic score guy, very high relative athletic score, someone that they would want to take. Neither of those guys are available. So now we're talking about who are some of these secondary options for the Packers. I'm going to go corner in this first mock. And I want to do maybe a surprise pick. Maybe a guy that is less likely to go in the first round. You can make a case for Jahdae Barron, but we're going to go with Savone Revel Jr. He was a top 30 visit. Surprise. Surprise. Now in the second mock for the Packers, another guy that was a top 30 visit, someone that you could argue would be tackle one, if not for the knee injury. I've heard good things about the knee injury. I've heard bad things. I don't know what to believe. There's reports from like Nate Tice, Todd McShay that there might be some character stuff. I don't think that kicks him out of the first round. They have Zach Tom and Rashid Walker as free agents next season. I think Zach Tom's coming back. I'm going to go with Josh Simmons as a potential pick here for the Packers. And now that brings us to the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings fans, don't worry, we're going to get a pick for y'all. But I think this is going to be a big trade down spot, and we're going to trade both of these picks for the Vikings. With the first pick, we're going to have them trade to the New York Giants, because keep in mind, Shedeur Sanders is off the board. Currently, the over and under on quarterbacks in the first round is 2.5. Jackson Dart has some buzz about going in the first round. Could a team like the Saints move up this high? It's pretty far. It's going to cost a lot. I think it's more likely that the Giants, is reported that Brian Daboll is a big Jackson Dart guy. So we're going to have the Giants move up in this scenario. They're going to swap picks 24 and 34. And let's say maybe like 65 and 105, or it's kind of irrelevant how the trade value breaks down here. I just think the trade occurs. So we're going to have the Giants move up and grab Jackson Dart. But I do think two quarterbacks at least go in the first round. Shedeur Sanders is still available here, which means then who's moving up? Well, I think the Browns have the chance to do something fun here if Shedeur is still on the board. You have draft capital. You look at your roster and you feel like, okay, this roster can compete if we just had some consistency at quarterback. We have Kenny Pickett, but we need some competition. We already took Travis Hunter. Let's take his teammate. Let's create some buzz. So in this scenario, we're going to move 33. We're going to exchange 33 for 24, maybe throw 94 in there, and then maybe you move Martin Emerson. Maybe a player gets moved in this trade. Martin Emerson on the final year of his contract. Vikings would love to get a corner. So we're going to do that, and we're going to have the Browns move up to get Shedeur. And I will say this, that is the last quarterback going in this second mock. So we have a mock draft that has 3. We have a mock draft that has 2 quarterbacks coming off the board. Don't worry, Vikings fans. We will make a pick for you in the second round. And then we have the Houston Texans. It's reported that they want to move up. In this scenario, I just didn't have a trade occur where they moved up. They want offensive line. They want it bad. If you don't know right now, by a large margin, offensive line is currently the betting favorite at minus 330. Wide receiver at plus 380. So maybe you make the case for Emeka Ibuka. I think that would make sense. Reunite him with, oh gosh, why am I blanking on his name? CJ Stroud. I think Josh Simmons isn't a play here because in this first mock, Josh Simmons is on the board, but with those character concerns, they just moved Laramie Tunsil because of it. Josh Connerly Jr. has been reported about as being a first-round pick. He's pretty high on for some people like Mike and Nate Tice. He was a top 30 visit. I'm going to go with him here. And this other one, let's think about guys that maybe could sneak into the first round. I'm going to get someone that also played with CJ Stroud. It's going to be Donovan Jackson. Does he play guard? Does he play tackle? Bring him in and figure it out. He was pretty hot at tackle by the end of the year. But you know you're getting a really good guard at the bare minimum. Donovan Jackson, again, I want to have some surprise first round first rounders in these mocks because it's going to happen. Where there's going to be guys that are like, oh, wow, I can't believe this guy went in the first round. So in one scenario, we have the Rams, 26, no Colson Loveland. Jahdae Barron, to me, is a perfect hand in glove fit for the defense. He's an immediate impact player now. They need cornerback help. Feels like the floor for Jahdae Barron. Then we have the Steelers here. Derek Harmon is slipping because there might be some concerns medically. I don't know if I buy in 100% with that, but you get your heir apparent for Cameron Hayward. It makes sense. Derek Harmon is a first round player, so I'm going to snag him here for the Steelers. Who are the betting favorites right now, position wise for the Steelers? Quarterbacks minus 145, and then defensive line at plus 170. Everything else is like far away. Like the third betting favorite's running back at plus 1600. That's wild. Baltimore Ravens. So one pick. He was a top 30 visit. I think he's a first rounder. We saw Connor Lee Jr. go. I have Josh Simmons. You can immediately, I think, plug him in at left guard. It's a big hole right now on the Ravens roster. Maybe he's the heir apparent to Ronnie Stanley. Stanley signed a 2 or 3 year deal. I think this is probably left guard. I think they probably fancy him over Tyler Booker, who they only had a combine meetup with. Simmons, he actually had the top 30 visit. And then Malachi Starks. I think Malachi Starks goes so much higher than this, but I just couldn't find an area to plug him in at. So I'm just going to go ahead and snag him here. I think he goes higher. I mean, he could go as high as to the Dolphins, but in this predictive mock, he ended up just falling in both of them. It's kind of wild. Detroit Lions. Okay, so this is far and away. It's going to be defensive line. If you want to look at the betting favorites right now, defensive line is at minus 140. Offensive line is at plus 180, 185. It feels like this is defensive line. Kenneth Grant's on the board here. I think he goes in the first round. You got DJ Reed on the final year of his deal. Levi Wozarike is there on a 1-year deal. Aleem McNeil won't be back till the second half of the season. You could get him immediately into the rotation. That one makes sense to me. But in the second round mock draft, or this second mock draft that we're doing, we've had a lot of edge players come off the board. Like Ezraku's gone, Shamar Stewart's gone, Jalen Walker's gone, Mike Green's gone, Mikael Williams is gone. Edge is flown off the board. Maybe you make the case for James Pierce. Is he a culture guy that Dan Campbell would want? Let's do a surprise potential first rounder, and someone that's getting some maybe sneaky first round buzz is JT Tuimoloau, who would be a good fit. He's an edge setter. He's got the type of body that Dan Campbell would like. He's someone that had some upside, never truly had the breakout year, but has steadily got better year after year. He had a strong playoff push there for the Buckeyes. Bam, JT Tuimoloau, surprise first rounder. And then the Washington Commanders. This one could be interesting. So we're going to play with a couple of scenarios here, because I truly don't know where the Commanders could go. Currently, the betting favorite is defensive line at plus 170. That's not really on the board for us unless you make the case for Donovan Ezraku or James Pierce. Potentially either of those guys. In this first mock, I think we had Amarian Hampton come off the board. I want to highlight a name that maybe goes ahead of Hampton. There's reports that Travion Henderson is running back 2 on many boards. So maybe he ends up going ahead of Hampton. Maybe he sneaks into the first round with Hampton. Henderson, I'm again, surprise first round pick. Now in the second mock draft that we're doing, Jahad Campbell's still here. It's a thought, but again, what if the injury does shoot him down the board? That's going to be a question. Defensive line, I think Will Johnson this kind of becomes maybe the floor for Will Johnson. The concerns aren't, oh, he runs like a 4.55, 4.58. The concerns are with the foot. And the foot might be a big injury red flag. But you can make the case maybe the Commanders trade down with a team like the Raiders, who Will Johnson was a top 30 visit. The Raiders cornerback room, not that great. Might be the worst in the league. Or the Commanders just stick in and pick it and reunite Mike Sainristil still with Will Johnson, who both were extremely good in 2023 in that championship year. For me, regardless whether this is a trade down and the Raiders move up or the Commanders stick and pick it, I think this pick ends up being Will Johnson at 29. And then we're here at 30. Buffalo Bills, currently betting favorite for the Bills is defensive line at minus 105 and then corner at plus 175. Corner makes all the sense in the world to me, just because I think there's going to be a big run on corners at the back end of the first, early second round. And by the Bills picks at 56 and 62, you might have Darian Porter available there, and that's it. I think if you don't get corner around this point in the draft, you might be out of luck. However, Malachi Starks is available in our first mock. I'm not going to have him fall any further. I'm going to take him here to the Bills. Now the question is, what corner do we take for the Bills in the second mock? There's Trey Amos. There's Maxwell Harrison, who you could argue is a first rounder. If not for, there was a character red flag back in 2021, which, I mean, you could go look into it. I think Harrison is a first rounder. If teams aren't concerned with that, you'd be a good fit for the Bills. You could argue Amos here. You could argue Revel here. I'm going to go with Harrison. And then we have the Kansas City Chiefs. So in our first mock draft, tackles flew off the board. Currently, the betting favorite for where the Chiefs will go is offensive line at minus 210. Let's get a surprise potential first rounder, because fun fact, if you didn't know, there's not a lot of guys built out there to play tackle in the NFL, and the guys that are get drafted high. Ariante Ursary was a first rounder for much of the season. He has the tools. I'm going to go with him being maybe shock first rounder. In this other mock, defensive line is the second betting favorite at plus 250. Jahad Campbell's still there, so it's something to consider. Let's go with defensive line. I want to go with another maybe shock first rounder in Talik Williams, who he can be the meat, the heft. He might need some polish as a pass rusher, but life's going to be a lot easier when you're playing next to Chris Jones. So bam, Tyleik Williams. And now we're here with the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't worry, Vikings fans. We're going to make picks for you. Philadelphia Eagles, currently betting favorite for the Eagles, position-wise. Defensive line, plus 110. Offensive line, plus 420. And then tight end at plus 550. You can make the case for Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor sounds like he's very liked around the NFL. I don't think he goes in the first round. Maybe that'll be egg on my face. So with this first pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, we're going to go with Donovan Ezeraku. You can make the case for James Pierce too, but I think Ezeraku is a first rounder. I'm not really having questions about him going to the first round. With this second one, I mean, Jahad Campbell's there. They've taken a Nakobe Dean, who had injury concerns, but they took him in the third round. So let's just say Jahad Campbell potentially falls out of the first. I want to play with that scenario. We still have Tyler Booker available. I think he could fall out the first, but I think it's also very likely maybe he goes in the first. So we're going to take him here to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let's go ahead and make this Browns pick in the second round so we can make the Vikings pick. It's probably quarterback. Let's say Jalen Milroe. He's going to the draft. Now, with the Vikings, currently the betting favorites are corner. That is currently at plus 180. Then defensive line's at plus 300. Safety is at plus 320. In this first mock, they traded with the Giants, so they did not get a corner in return. Let's say that they get a corner. I'm going to go with Trey Amos. I think he's a good fit there. In the second mock, they grabbed Martin Emerson. Maybe it's enough to say, hey, we don't need to get a corner. You could talk about the defensive line, but all those guys got kind of taken in this mock. So I'm going to go safety. Nick Emanuari, who I think could be in play for the Steelers. He might go in the first. I think he goes very early second. I'm going to snag him here for the Minnesota Vikings. And there it is. There is the predictive mock draft. You go ahead. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like I said, I was trying to put out as many just options, possibilities to get y'all ready for the draft tonight. We are going to be live streaming it, so please join me for that. We're live streaming all 3 days. We're going to have a ton of content coming out tonight with first round draft grades. You're going to have best available players left on the board. I might do a day 2 mock just for the hell of it. Hey, Esker Wallet, thank you for sponsoring today's video. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.